Yada yada hi dharmasya. An excerpt from International Journal of Gita Dhyan Sadhana, April to June 2012 issue. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir. This is the title of the talk, and this particular words are part of the important sutra of 7th Sutra of Chapter 4. Before I go into the sutra, there are a few things which are important to understand. Awareness is the flowering of inner harmony and oneness. This flowering manifests in outer realm as your understanding. Also, it becomes your self-knowledge. It is not influenced in any way by anything outside and therefore remains ever fresh and pure. Rather, there is a similarity of experience, a similar resonance, the hearing of similar voices if I am singing and the same tune is coming at the same time from someone else. My rhythm and the rhythm of the other singer are one with each other, and there is no room between us for being influenced from one another. This is resonance. However, in order to be influenced by someone else or be a disciple, a distance is necessary or the other is necessary. However, as far as I am concerned, there is no distance. When I start explaining a statement of Buddha or when I am speaking on Gita of Krishna, I am only more or less explaining my own statements. Krishna or Christ or Mahavir or Buddha simply provide me an opportunity or an excuse or an occasion to speak. But then soon I forget that I was speaking about any one of these except me. I start with them, but and only on what I have known. I am not even aware when I stop talking about them and begin to explain my own understanding. Perhaps you will be surprised to know that I have not read Gita completely even once. I have started to read it often, but after reading 10 or 12 sutras here and there sporadically, I felt that it was enough and I closed the book. And I have always found that none of the commentaries has done any justice to Krishna or his message. None represents Krishna in his totality. When I am speaking on Bhagavad Gita, I am really hearing it for the first time as I speak about it. I have no background in it. I have no way of criticizing it. When something is your essence or heartbeat, then you do not study it. In normal course, you are not even aware of your breathing. You become aware of your breathing only when there is disturbance. You become aware of your breathing only when there is disturbance. Otherwise, you are never aware. One who has studied the Gita, who has pondered over and thought deeply about its statements, can only criticize or define what he has read. Not having read Gita, I can do neither of the two things. When I speak on the Gita, I do not actually speak on the scripture. The script or sutras are only an excuse. I start with Bhagavad Gita, but speak only about what I want to speak and only about that which I can speak. If you feel that I have dealt a great deal on Gita, it is not because I am influenced by Krishna, but because Krishna said the very same thing that I am saying. This is important to understand. If you feel that I have dealt a great deal on Gita, it is not because I am influenced by Krishna in any way. Instead, because Krishna said the same thing that I am saying. Thus, I am not going in any way to comment on Bhagavad Gita. These talks on Bhagavad Gita are not commentary. What Bal Gangadhar Tilak has said on Gita, or what Gandhi had said on Bhagavad Gita, or what Swami Chinmayanand had said on Bhagavad Gita was their commentary or explanation of Gita. They are under deep influence of Gita, but what I am saying does not come from Gita at all. The tunes that are touched upon by Gita are touched within me as well. They lead me to my own tune. I begin to explain my own self, all that I have attained. Bhagavad Gita is my essence and my being. It only provides me with an occasion. When I am speaking on Krishna, during those very moments, I am most deeply revealing Krishna, and you will begin to feel that I am talking about my own self. It is in those moments that I speak. Thus, these talks are not commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And whatever I am saying does not come from Bhagavad Gita. It is the outcome of my own experience. Yada yada hi dharmasya is the first line of the sutra. Someone has asked, you said the birth of Krishna is causeless, not bound by any cause, not guided by cause and effect relation, and also such is the cause of the enlightened ones. However, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna declared, whenever there is decline in righteousness, I have to come. Please explain with insights. I repeat the question once again. You said the birth of Krishna is causeless. It is not bound by any cause and effect relation. And also such is the case of the enlightened ones. However, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna declared, whenever there is decline in righteousness, I have to come. Please explain with insights. Indeed, Krishna declares, whenever there is decline of righteousness, I have to come. Certainly, what will then be the insight of the sage poet Vedavyas in letting the declaration come through Shri Krishna, not as wave, instead through Shri Bhagwan, the oceanic presence. This is important because all the sutras of Krishna comes as the message from Shri Bhagwan. This is significant and has deep mystical insight that only an enlightened one can understand, whose very existence indeed is oceanic. The sutra reads, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharat abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानं धर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् अभ्युत्थानं धर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Such declaration can only be made by one who is totally free. One who is bound, who is imprisoned, cannot make any declaration like this. You cannot make such declaration or say, if it is not so, I will come. I will not come. You cannot make such declaration or say, if it is not so, then I will not come. Your coming, birth is bound by a long chain of cause. Such long chain of karmas create causal change. Such long chain of karmas create the causal change. You cannot make such declaration or either make a simple promise. You cannot even dare to make such promise. Krishna makes such declaration. And what is the reason? Krishna indeed, only Krishna can make such a declaration because he is not bound by any cause. He can make such a declaration only because he is not bound by any cause. This is his freedom, and out of this total freedom, anything can evolve. Such declaration is only possible because of total freedom. That is synonym with Krishna, the beings of total awareness. Awareness is freedom. The more aware you are, the more free you are. When Krishna says, I will come, when Krishna says that I will come if the situation be so, then certainly Krishna will come because of his freedom, not because of situation. Remember this, when Krishna says that I will come if the situation be so, then certainly Krishna will come because of his freedom, not because of situation. Krishna is not helpless in making such declaration. Indeed, such is declaration, but there is no compulsion, or he is the cause bound. But who can give such a promise? In making this promise, Krishna is not bound in any way. He is totally free in making such a statement. In Mahabharata, the epic, there comes an incident Once Yudhishthir was sitting, the eldest of the Pandav princes. Yudhishthir was sitting outside his house when a beggar came for alms. Yudhishthir asked the beggar to return tomorrow as he was busy doing something. The beggar went away. However, his younger brother Bhim was hearing this. He picked up the nearby drum and beating the drum, he ran towards the village. However, Bhim was hearing this. He picked up the nearby drum and beating the drum, he ran towards the village. Yudhishthir asked, "What are you doing?" Bhim replied, "Before it is too late, or I miss or forget, I must make the announcement that my brother Dharmaraj Yudhishthir has made a promise for tomorrow. I did not know that my brother has now won over time. He will be here tomorrow. The beggar too will be here tomorrow. Also, Dharmaraj will have the will to give, and the beggar will have the need for alms again tomorrow. Both of them will meet tomorrow as well. Yudhishthir has certainly won time. That is why I am running towards the village with the drum, because it is not certain if I will see the next moment. Such is the life. Do you know that you will see the next moment? Yet still unconsciously we go on making the promise. This moment is enough. I have spoken to you. I have spoken to you in total awareness, and that is more than enough. And tomorrow the same consciousness that is speaking today will be no more. Life moves moment to moment. It is dynamic, continuously moving. Awareness is like a river that continues to flow. And Heraclitus said that you cannot enter the same river twice, because the river is not stationary. For you, life is stationary. Life is a flow that constantly moving. A moment gone never comes back again. Next moment you are not same. Something has changed in you. Your awareness is constantly moving. Hearing this, Yudhishthir got shocked and said, I made a mistake. Such a promise can only be given by one who has attained total freedom or awakened. The moment an individual becomes awakened, the entire existence comes to support him. And only out of that total freedom that he can make a promise. Because once an enlightened one makes a promise, the entire existence comes to support in myriad ways. Such a promise can only be given by one who has attained total freedom. He requested him to call back the beggar so that he can give all that was possible, because time is uncertain. On the other hand, Krishna is not making a promise for tomorrow. Instead, his promise is a promise beyond time and space. Yada yadahi. Whenever there is a decline in righteousness, it's not tomorrow, it's not day after tomorrow, it's not in India, it's not in any particular place. It is yada yadahi dharmasya. It is very comprehensive. This word yada is very comprehensive, beyond time and space. Not 19th century or 20th century. Since Krishna walked on this earth, many centuries have passed, but this statement, existence is supported in myriad ways. Krishna is saying yada yada hi. These words are impregnant with tremendous awareness and understanding. It is not an ordinary word which means if. It means whenever, and whenever is not bound by time. It is not bound by space. Whenever, now, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, day after 1 year, after many centuries, many years, it will stand true. You can make a promise. Only one who is totally free. Only one who is awakened can make a promise. On the other hand, Krishna is not making a promise for tomorrow alone. Instead, his promise is a promise beyond time and space. Yada yada means a promise beyond time. Beyond time, and not only time, beyond space as well. It is a promise beyond time and space. He declares that he will come back whenever there is need. No prisoner can make such a promise. An ordinary person who is not awakened is a prisoner. He is bound by the law of action, karmas, by the time. He is time bound. He is bound by many causes. No prisoner can make such a promise. One who is chained cannot make such promise. Such a promise can only be made by one who has attained total freedom, not any chained one. And remember, such promise is not because of any circumstance or situation. Instead, it is the outcome of total freedom. It is the outcome of total freedom. Remember, such promise is not because of any circumstance or situation as has been propagated. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharat. Whenever there is a decline in righteousness, I will come. Krishna is not saying because of that. He is not bound by any circumstances or situation. If he is bound by circumstances, situation, then he is not free. Freedom means one who is totally free, not bound by any cause, effect, time, or any circumstance or situation. This is the very essence of freedom. Freedom is not bound by anything. And remember, such a promise is not bound by any circumstance or situation. Instead, it is the outcome of total freedom. This difference is no ordinary one. This is the essence of the sutra, which the commentators go on missing. Through this declaration, Krishna makes only one thing clear, that he is not bound by any situation, circumstance, or karma, or anything else. And another thing that he makes abundantly clear is that such declaration can be made only by a being who has transcended all finiteness, and as a result, beyondness has descended in him. Remember this. And another thing that he makes abundantly clear, that such declaration can be made by only a being who has transcended all finiteness. And when you transcend all finiteness, then beyondness has descended in you. Such declaration is the declaration of freedom. However, sometimes such declaration proves false. You think Krishna too has to come back. Existence never repeats anything. God is not manufacturer. God is creator. Anything that is created can never be repeated again. And anything can be created only when you are guided by your awareness, not by your mind, not by your memory. That is why when you listen to these talks, these meditations, there is a totally different energy field each time when meditation takes place. It is consciousness that is at play. It is the consciousness that remains behind each word and each syllable. It is the consciousness that binds each syllable, each word, and creates an energy field. Awareness is a flow. When flow is changing, the river is flowing, the consciousness is flowing, each word, each syllable that comes out is joined by this awareness. It creates a totally different ambience, totally different energy field. When you heat water, it turns into steam at 100 degrees Celsius. Suppose one day water tells you not to worry if heat is somewhat less or is even 90 degrees Celsius, it will turn into steam. That will mean there is no bondage of 100 degrees Celsius. The boiling of the water, changing its form from fluid to steam, is bound by a law that 100 degrees Celsius temperature is needed. Such declaration is the outcome or expression of total freedom, if water says so. When dependence is no more, that turning into steam, changing its form, is not dependent on the temperature. When dependence is no more, only then from deep within blossoms myriad flowers of freedom. I repeat this. When you heat water, it turns into steam at 100 degrees Celsius. Suppose one day water tells you not to worry if the heat is somewhat less or even 90 degrees Celsius. It will turn into steam. That will mean that the bondage of 100 degrees Celsius is no more there. Water, the conversion of water into steam is not bound by temperature. Such declaration is the outcome of expression of total freedom. When dependence is no more, remember, when dependence is no more, only then from deep within blossoms myriad flowers of freedom. A being like Krishna does not come for any cause or bondage. The being of Krishna does not come for any bondage or any cause. Buddha too made a similar promise in Diamond Sutra. And the promise he made to Subhuti in response to the wheel of time. And it is significant for you to know and understand this sutra. The wheel of Dham goes on losing its momentum every 500 years. And then the wheel has to be turned to maintain the momentum. And in the process, after 2500 years, the wheel comes to a complete cessation. Then the wheel is to set in motion once again. Such is not any ordinary thing that anyone can set the wheel in motion. It needs a total consciousness that is uncontaminated and is beyond time and space. Buddha continues, because a bodhisattva who gives a gift should not be supported by a thing, nor should he be supported anywhere. The great being should give gift in such a way that he is not supported by the notion of a sign. And why? Because the heap of the merit of that Bodhi being who unsupported gives a gift, it is not easy to measure. He continues, what do you think, Subhuti? Can the Tathagat be seen by possession of his marks? Subhuti replied, no, indeed, my lord. And why? What has been taught by the Tathagat as the possession of marks, that is truly no possession or no mark. When Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat, whenever there is a decline in righteousness, I will come from age to age. It is not an ordinary promise. This is not a mark. Whenever there is possession of mark, there is a fraud. It can falter. Wherever there is no possession of no mark, there is no fraud. In these words of Krishna, there is utter truth. Hence, Tathagat is to be seen from no mark or as marks. Krishna has to be seen in his total freedom, and it is out of total freedom that he can make such a promise. These are very strange words of Krishna. The sutra is very strange and very deeply embedded into his consciousness, into his total freedom. So too the words of Buddha are strange words. Indeed, these words are not strange because Buddha is addressing to a bodhisattva, and Krishna through Arjuna too is addressing to the enlightened ones, not to the ordinary persons. Arjuna is the medium, and through Arjuna he is addressing to the enlightened ones. They would have not been strange if they were addressed to ordinary human beings. In Krishna, Krishna is ordained with all the divine qualities. As a warrior, he has been gifted with all the divine weapons or divine attributes. It would be better to say, in the light of an awakening, that Arjuna was endowed with divine qualities that were used as weapons in the war of Mahabharata. When an individual is extremely intelligent beyond all the finiteness, then everyone showers blessings in the form of divine attributes. Just remember, as a student in your university, you are a very unique and intelligent one. You may belong to one discipline, But all the professors of other discipline will know you because of your uniqueness, your unique intelligence and understanding. They will shower their blessings onto you. If you are an ordinary student, then you may know the other professors of the other discipline, but they will not know you. A unique person becomes an embodiment of light. His light shines wherever he goes. Arjun is one such embodiment who has been endowed with divine attributes, many divine attributes. Whosoever met him showered his blessings as divine attributes. He is in the possession of many divine attributes or qualities. But at the moment when the message of Bhagavad Gita is being narrated, there is despondency. That is bound to happen in an individual. Even in the individual who is endowed with many qualities. But you remember, being endowed with the quality does not mean that one is awakened. All these divine personages, divine beings who had bestowed many qualities onto Arjuna, they saw the potentiality in Arjuna. This potentiality is the potentiality of Bodhisattva, of attaining to enlightenment. Therefore, Arjuna is no ordinary human being to whom Krishna is addressing. Krishna is addressing, and the message emanates as through the oceanic presence of Krishna. The form is wave, but wave is manifesting the oceanic quality. Of course, wave always manifests the quality of the ocean. Wave is born on the surface of the ocean, but ordinarily wave is not aware. But Krishna is aware of his oceanic presence. He knows that words are not his. When Vivekananda was asked after the Parliament of Religions by Sister Nivedita, who was then known as Margaret Noble, Swamiji, when you were speaking in the Parliament of Religions, your words were magnetic. It has these words had tremendous force, energy, field. If you had asked us to plunge into the ocean, we would have done it. One day it happened so that he was talking about Krishna's love for gopis and gopis' love for Krishna. How Krishna's flute enamored the milkmaids and they leave everything. Krishna is playing alone the flute on the banks of the blue river, in the hue of the moonlight under those trees. The clarion call, milkmaids hear this sound, echoing in their hearts like the dissolving notes. Suddenly they are enamored. They leave everything and run onto the shore of the river. What was so much attraction in these words in the message, in the playing of the flute of Krishna? Krishna's flute is not an ordinary sound. It is the sound of the being. Krishna's flute is the sound of being. It is a clarion call to awaken, call to transcend beyond finiteness. Swami Vivekananda was speaking. The question was asked to him. He did not respond the question. Instead he continued, Masters have a unique way of responding to the questions, because a master does not respond to the questions, instead he responds to the questioning mind, the questioning being. Suddenly he left the podium and ran. He was a young, energetic, athletic built. He ran. The crowd followed him. When he had ran about 200 to 300 meters, he suddenly stopped. He said, "What happened? Why are you coming? Why are you following me?" The people's Margaret said, "I don't know, Swamiji. There is something beyond the words, beyond explanation, that I cannot put into the words. There is a tremendous attraction that we are bound by these words. And when you left, suddenly we had to follow you, running behind you." Vivekananda looked towards Margaret and said, "Now you can understand why milkmaids were running behind Krishna." A simple clarion call, a note of the flute, reaches to the heart, creates something insatiable, touches something deep within the milkmaids, and they run. It is the energy field that touches. It is the energy field that has reached there. Unless this happens, the words are meaningless, they are barren. It is the consciousness that gives a meaning, that gives an essence to these words. The message of Krishna is not to be interpreted intellectually. It has to flow, it has to embed with the energy that consciousness provides, the energy that your freedom, the energy that your beyondness provides. Arjuna therefore is no ordinary being. Then Vivekananda said, "When I was speaking in the Parliament of Religions, the words were mine, the voice was mine, sometimes even the punctuation was mine. But the force behind my voice was of that haggard man. The force behind these words is the force of freedom, is the force of consciousness, is the force of inner harmony, is the force of energy, is the force of oneness within. It is the oneness, it is the freedom, it is the harmony within. That becomes the consciousness, that becomes awareness and manifests as words in the outer realm." This was the sentence which, when I had spoken to someone, inner beauty, but I emphasized inner beauty sometimes assumes the form of words. But in case of an enlightened one, it is the inner beauty, inner harmony, it is oneness, that alone assumes the form of words. So Krishna is speaking, and there is someone to respond to this energy field. Arjuna is no ordinary being, and through Krishna, Arjuna is addressing to the entire realm of the enlightened ones, those who have happened, those who were of his time, and those who will appear any time. I can see each one of them, says Krishna, says Buddha. Buddha says, I can see all those bodhisattvas. They are known to me, Sumati. They are all known to me beyond time and space. I am addressing to them. One can understand that the ordinary human being therefore needs to listen well. And to listen is very difficult. To listen means to be here now. To in that moment when the world is overflowing. To listen means to be without any thought or preconceived ideas or conditioning. If you are conditioned by the commentary of a particular person, then you will not listen to me. To listen means to be alert, awake, and available to this very moment. If these conditions are fulfilled, only then you can listen and the message will enter your being. Mind has its own ways and means. Mind continues like a fanatic inside. It lives in its self-created world of ignorance and negation of truth. And in the process it goes on spinning 1,001 thoughts. The mind continues to move all over the world, riding the vehicle of the past and the future. How can then you listen? How can then mind be available and listen? And whatsoever it listens to, it will not be the right listening at all. Mind you, it is your creation. Mind is you. Mind is your creation. You live the mind that survives on the past and the future, that exists no more. In that case, you will listen to something else which has not been said. In that case, you will listen to something else that has not been said. You will go on missing that which is said. You will not be in tune with here now. You will listen to the words of force. Because you are not deaf, the words are reaching you. But just that much is not listening. Remember, words are the carrier of the eternal message. The message will not reach you in that case. This is why Jesus says, if you have ears, listen. If you have eyes, see. This is significant. Jesus is not speaking of the physical eyes or the physical ears. There is something deep within that you have to listen to. Those disciples were neither blind nor deaf. They had eyes as healthy as you have. They had ears as good as you have. But Jesus' words are not strange. They are relevant. He is talking to ordinary people. So he has to bring it to their attention. He has to shout. But Buddha's words, the words of Krishna, are strange. He is not addressing to the ordinary people. Jesus is addressing to the ordinary people. Jesus is addressing to the masses. Krishna is addressing to Arjuna, the man endowed with divine attributes, no ordinary human being. And Buddha is addressing to a bodhisattva who is on the verge of becoming a Buddha, who has already crossed almost all the barriers. He is addressing to Subhuti, a great being, the Bodhi being, one who is just on the verge of being Buddha. Yet he says, therefore Subhuti, listen well and attentively. And when you listen to these words attentively, then and only then you can understand the word, meaning of the word yada. Yada, why this word is used twice? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharat. Whenever there is a decline of righteousness, I rise from age to age. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharat. Abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I rise again and again to establish righteousness. I rise again and again to set the wheel back into the motion. The wheel of dham that is losing its momentum, that has to be set back again in motion, so that it does not slow down and comes to a cessation. Not that after 2500 years that someone will come. Every 500 years the wheel slows down. So it is for that reason I come. So that, and then it is not a repetition. Existence does not repeat anything. Jesus cannot be repeated back again. Ram, Krishna, Buddha cannot be repeated back again. But this is the fallacy, this is the understanding of almost all the followers of these religions, of the so-called organized religions, that they go on propagating that Jesus is coming back, because that is their business. And that is the way they can continue to attract the masses, the ignorant ones. Krishna cannot be repeated. But the consciousness of Krishna, the consciousness of Jesus can manifest through you, can manifest through anyone. And Krishna's consciousness, the consciousness of Jesus, consciousness of Buddha, is not his consciousness, is the consciousness, the totality, is the awareness beyond time and space, beyond any bondage. And this awareness is total freedom, not bound by any cause and effect, not bound by anything which is finite. And that consciousness is, you can call it Krishna consciousness, you can call it Buddha consciousness, but Krishna consciousness is not confined to the form of Krishna. Krishna consciousness is the oceanic form of Krishna, the wave. Buddha's consciousness is the oceanic consciousness of Buddha, which is not bound by the form of Buddha or the form of Jesus or the form of Mahabir or the form of anyone else for that matter. The consciousness that is manifesting through TAOSHOBUDDHA is not related to any form. The words are coming out of me. The voice can be recognized that it is the voice of TAOSHOBUDDHA, but the consciousness is not bound by the time, space and anything else. This is the total freedom, this is the inner harmony, this is the oneness that is assuming the form of words. It is the totality, it is the oceanic form that is manifesting in the form of words. Our emphasis should be on this oceanic presence, the oceanic consciousness beyond time and space. Ocean is beyond time and space, not the wave. One that assumes the form as a wave is not bound by time or space. It's time bound. Body is time bound. Mind is time bound. But consciousness is not time bound. Consciousness is freedom. It is inner harmony. It is oneness. It is bliss. It is oceanic. Krishna represents that. In order to differentiate this, Vedavyas allowed each and every syllable to come out of Shri Bhagavan Uvach. Not that thus spake Krishna. And only when you attain to that understanding, only when you attain to that divine attributes of being a disciple like Arjuna, disciple like Subhuti, or of that status, of that understanding, then you can understand the essence of the sutras of Buddha, the sutras of Jesus, the sutras of Krishna. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. This continues like that. And Buddha explains this particular state of the being as Chittopada. Chit means the being, Pad, a state of innerness. We keep this morning session up to here. Still there will be talks related to these two sutras, which will be taken in the next session on Paritranaya Sadhunam. The next sutra says Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkratam Dharma Sansthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Paritranaya Sadhunam. When the sadhus, Paritranaya means they are in trouble. Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkratam, for the destruction of the wicked and for the protection of the sage, I rise from age to age. This sutra will be taken in the next session. Until then, take care.